Hey everyone, Egman here with another video, and believe it or not, this is the 2-year anniversary of me making videos for the Dragon Ball Super card game, which is very surreal for me that it's already been this long, and I think I have a catalog of over 300 videos, which is just insane that I've been doing this, I've done this over 300 times and everything, so that's really surreal to think about. But yeah, I'm really excited for it, and last year what I did was I went over my first video, and instead of doing that again, what I'm thinking of doing instead this time is doing a new series. It's going to be a top 10 Tuesdays, and I'm probably just going to go over at least the beginning, since we have so many sets to go over now. Just pretty much like the top 10 cards from every set, and it's going to go over what at the beginning of when they first released, and then continuing onward. And a lot of these cards, like this, series 1 was super duper difficult to get to 10 cards. It was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be to cram that. Normally I kind of cheat when I do like the pre-release ones where I put like cards and combos together so I can put more cards onto a list, but I'm holding it steady at 10 cards. And also I'm going to be putting in the series 1 star deck, the one with the Super Saiyan God Son Goku leader, just to make it a little bit more difficult for me too, and really like grind down to a list that I'm almost happy with. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and then hopefully every Tuesday I can keep up with it. We have so many sets, so many expansion sets. I'm probably going to break up promos to by year, and maybe even do like a top 20 list broken into 2 parts for them. But there are just so many cards, and I think I've been around the game long enough to kind of know the history of these cards, and also their impacts, not only when they first came out, but for a lot of these cards at the beginning, their overreaching impact for like the entirety of the game. So this should be fun, and yeah, let's just kick it off with number 10.
Number 10.
To start this list off, we've got Frieza's Call, which is a 1 yellow specific energy extra card that says active main, choose 1 Frieza's Army card of an energy cost 2 or less from your deck, play it in rest mode, then shuffle your deck. This card's super duper powerful. Even when it came out, it was fantastic, but now that we have even like more of a card pool to take advantage of this, you just get so much value from it. Let me just do it live. I didn't think of this beforehand, but let's just do Frieza's Army. 2, and it doesn't even have to be yellow. So there's so many good cards for it. Chile's a great one. Limo's a great one. You can get super combos, and there's also like 1-drops too. It is in rest, but there's also just a lot of synergy, like just having these cards on the board. You can get like Broly, this 1-drop green card, and there's just so much cards you can get from here. All of them are good, and just the fact that you're using 1 energy to get a 2 cost, and also you get to search your entire deck for it. There's just so much benefit for it. I think this is a great card, and it's still going to be a good card too, and that's why it's been reprinted a couple times. It's going to be like a good value card, and whenever you're using anything with Frieza's Army, and even yellow, you can consider using this.
Number 9.
Next up, we've got Saiyan Cava, which is a 1-drop for 1 specific red, 5k power, and auto. When this card attacks, you may choose 1 card in your life and add it to your hand. If you do so, this card gains plus 10k power and double strike for the duration of the turn. This was the earliest, obviously, and most common way to self-awaken yourself. It's kind of weird now because there's so many cards with this effect now, or just really similar, where it's a 1-drop that has some self-awakening potential. But this was the first one, and for a couple of sets, this was like the only way to really self-awaken. So anyone who's needing to kind of awaken their leader a bit faster, they had to be running red just to play this card. So very powerful, and just the fact that you're able to get double strike for 1 energy is insane. Like, you do 1 damage to you on Saiyan Cava, but then you do 2 damage to your opponent. So it just values out. And it's just been a very powerful card forever. It hasn't been seeing as much play now just because there's so many different options and everything, but if you're doing any kind of aggro deck that needs self-awakening, this is definitely one of the cards you think about, or just any card with just effect of, being able to take 1 life when you swing and gain some kind of boost. And Saiyan Cava is probably the earliest one, obviously, and it's probably still one of the best.
Number 8.
Next up, we've got the Ultimate Form Golden Frieza leader from this set. It has an active main on the front side that says once per turn, place 1 of your Frieza Army battle cards in the drop area, choose 1 of your energy and switch to active mode, then draw 1. And then at 4 or less, you draw 2 and flip it over. And then on the Awaken side, same thing, but you place 1 of your Frieza Army battle cards in the drop, and you choose up to 2 of your energy and switch to active mode, and then draw 1, so you get 1 more energy untap, and then also when this card attacks, draw 1. This card's amazing, and it's obviously it's still being seen now. There's been some like lemon lime variants. And part of the reason it's so good is Frieza's Call, which we just talked about as well. Being able to use one energy to get out anything from your deck to use its ability, and then on top of that, on the Awaken side, you get one energy for free, and you get free cycle. And like if it was something that had an effect with it, just like for example the Chi Light that lets you draw a card when you play it, you just like net an extra card for free, right? Like you get the untap, you get one extra untap, just so much value from it. And no wonder like this card still sees play, even though it's such an old leader. It's so good at generating value and recycling everything, and especially since there's been some like retrains that help this card get back to like some relevancy. There's the, I'm gonna look it up live again. It's the Frieza from, I believe, the anniversary box. It's like the 2-drop Frieza. It might be a 1-drop. Yeah, Frieza Malicious Streak. Yeah, when this place is placed in the, when this card is placed in your drop area, you may choose one card in your life add to your hand. If you do so, choose up to one Frieza card with an energy cost of 2 or less and play it. So this has Self-Awakening, and it's also like Recursion. This can be found with Frieza's Call. There's just so many good things going on, and it just makes a lot of sense to why I think this is definitely one of the strongest leaders, from definitely from set 1, and still can have some contention right now in the game.
Number 7.
Number 7, we've got Whis' Coercion, which was the best negate in the game for so long, uncontested for just so many reasons. Its skill is counterattack, negate the attack, then choose up to one of your energy and switch to active mode, which is just crazy good when you consider that it only costs 1 to play. So yeah, you can just use 1 energy and then get the untap on anything too. You can untap any color. So if you're running multicolor, you have the 1 blue open, and then you can mark it, tap the blue and then untap like a red or something. But just the fact that there's just so much economy for this, it's technically a free negate in so many ways. You go -1 in hand, but you don't have to use any energy investment as long as you have 1 blue open. And yeah, this was just such a good card for so many reasons, especially when you like it was paired with like Mecha Frieza. You could use this for free, and then you get an energy untap for free as well, because you don't have to pay the cost, but you still get the effect for it. So just a fantastic card, and it would be a very long time before we got a better card than this. Like Dimension Magic is a little bit better than this card, but it has some restrictions to it, especially since it can only untap blue energy. But yeah, Whis' Coercion for sure was the best negate in this set, and then probably for the next couple of sets to come.
Number 6.
We've got the Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Son Goku, the Soul Striker. This was from the starter deck. It was the leader from there, and my goodness, did it set a precedent for the starter decks, because this was so relevant for like over a year after this card was released. It was still like probably the best leader in the game for such a long time. It has this auto: when this card attacks, choose up to one of your blue energies, switch to active mode, which is insane value. And then when your life is at 4 or less, you may draw 2 cards, flip it over. And then 2 things: during your turn, if you have 5 or more energy, this gains plus 5k power. And then also, when this card attacks, you draw 1, and then you choose 2 of your blue energy and switch to active mode. So back then, when this card was being used, there wasn't as much like flexibility with energy. So just being able to have that and just be such a strong presence in untapping. If like right now there's more flexibility, but back then, if there's anything you needed if you needed a leader that untapped stuff, you had to run blue, and you had to run this leader pretty much. It was so good. So many decks went into it. It could be a control deck, it could be an aggro deck, and was just good for a long time. And people are still trying to make this card work. I think it's a little bit neutered right now, just because it doesn't get as much stuff. Like just the untap 1 isn't as good as modern leaders, which always get to draw 1 when they swing pretty much on their front side. So it has a little bit catching up to do in that regard. But yeah, very powerful, very strong, and people always go back to this leader thinking, is this working? If I need to get some extension off this blue energy and cheat some more stuff out in a turn, can I use this leader? Does it make sense? And I think there's going to be some times, especially with maybe some of this unison stuff coming up too. I think this could be a potential leader for that as well.
Number 5.
Okay, we're in the top 5 now. I'd say the bottom 5 was a little bit more contested, but these next 5, I think are uncontested. These are 100% the right order you should do it in, and they're pretty obvious. So first, Furthering Destruction Champa, just a super fantastic card. People are still using it today. Auto: when you combo with this card, choose one of your attacking cards against double strike for the duration of the battle. So good being able to just, for one energy, make something have double strike, especially during the battle step, which is a little bit less important nowadays since there's a couple of different ways to do it, and there's more interaction during the battle step. But back in the day, and even now, still, like if you have two energy left, two life left, you have to just always be thinking, okay, if I don't negate this next attack, are they going to have Champa and give it double strike and win the game, right? Are they able to blow me out? And it's just always like a thought in their mind. Like, this card is so good. It doesn't even matter if you're running red or not. People just put it in there because it's just such a good card. Giving double strike surprisingly and catching your opponent off guard is fantastic. Being able to pair this with cards that have critical is fantastic. Just a very good card, and will always be a good card as long as the modern idea of double strike still being a good thing. This card's going to be around to stay. And if it gets rotated out, we still have the Hidden Power Kai from World Martial Arts Tournament. But yeah, I think this is a very good card.
Number 4.
We've got Senzu Bean at number 4, which should only tell you how much the next 3 cards are super powerful. But this card has always been meta relevant. Everyone had a playset of this card, no matter what. Like, this is a card that you needed. This is always relevant. If you're running anything with blue, you'd run Senzu Bean, and half the time people were running blue was to run Senzu Bean. Being able to get one extra energy off is fantastic. Being active battle, or also having the defensive capabilities of having something permanently have plus 5k. So it was good for offense and defense. It was super cheap and very easy to use, and just a fantastic card in so many ways. It was never ever dead. As long as you had a blue energy open, and it's always going to be relevant. As long as I can't think, unless like there's a card that is strictly better than this, I can't think of a time where this card will not be relevant in any case. Unless people aren't running blue anymore, this card will always be played. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not sure if that should be addressed. But I can't just going through all the decks that this card's been in would take hours. Now, no doubt, everyone's running this card. If you don't have a playset, you should have a playset, because you will have a deck that will need this card eventually. It's only $3 now, also, but previously it was a lot more. Especially before it was reprinted. It's been reprinted 4 times already. But for the first year or two, the prices were getting pretty steep for this guy, because it was a common in set 1, and set 1 only had 1 printing. So very good card. And let's get to these top 3 bad boys.
Number 3.
We've got Bloodless, which is a no-duh for this list. These next 3 are no-duh, the most powerful cards from the set. But this card's insanely powerful. It's helped create the game into the sense it was. It's helped develop what counterplay really means and how it works. And it pretty much has made any Frieza's army leader, Frieza army leader has a shot to run this, and has a shot to be good, because it's such a good card. It has what the effect is: counterplay if your leader card is Frieza's army. The battle card played has its skill negated for the duration of the turn, which is nuts. Which also means that since it's counterplay, it happens before it hits the board, as long as you play it in counter window 1, which is a whole nother discussion, because when this card first came out, there was no counter window 1 or 2. It's just you can play it whenever a card's being played, and you can wait until you see when the card's being played off a skill, and just be like, oh yeah, that's negated. Get this out of here. It was super powerful. They had to change up how they did counter windows when something was played with a skill, which I think makes the game 100% better. But previously, you could just say, oh yeah, you're gonna play Cell Chain. Okay, you're gonna search for the card you're actually gonna play it. Bloodless. Boom, done. It doesn't matter. But now it has 2 windows. You can say, oh, I'll use the cell, and I'll search for the leader, and then you can say Bloodless, and you can fail to find, and then just search again for it. That might be a really specific example, but this card's fantastic. We're currently at 1, which I think is the correct choice. But it's just completely, you can use this 1 energy to just negate your opponent's 5 energy. If they played some big boy with 4 or 5 energy, with double strike, or some effect that was going to try to win them the game, you can just use Bloodlust, and then they can't use that anymore. Super good. It also helped cement the word deflect as well. That was a keyword that pretty much existed. So we can't Bloodless this anymore. We want this effect to go off, which is why we've got Gogeta 7 drop and all the wonderful glory that has. But great card, pretty much validates any Frieza's army leader. When Mecha Frieza was banned, there were still leaders that were so good because they still had Frieza's army as part of their traits, and they could use Cold Bloodless, and that's the only reason they were good, was because they could still use Cold Bloodless. So great card, and it will continue to be great. I think 1 is fine for right now. I could see it going to 0 or being completely banned, but we'll see what's to come.
Number 2.
Number 2, we've got Objection, which should also be no surprise to anyone. This has like a lot of ups and downs on how good Objection's been, and I feel like it was like on the fringe for such a long time for being banned. And the reason it was eventually banned was because of Ramp Shenron. But active main, what's it do? Choose up to 1 card from your hand to add it to your energy. Super simple. Most banned cards in most games have these super simple effects that once you really think about all the applications, like, oh, that's busted. And Objection, in my opinion, I think this is still a hot topic for a lot of people, but I don't think this card should exist in the game anymore, especially with how a lot of cards are based on you being on a certain energy level. If you can cheat out and get a free turn of that, it just makes something that's unfair super unfair in a lot of ways. So of course you're still restricted on having blue specific stuff, and then also you go -2 to get 1 energy. So in a lot of times that was a fair trade, but when it was used in Ramp Shenron, that was absurdly powerful, being able to just use Objection into Objection. And since Shenron had so much energy and could also be very defensive at the same time, it was very hard to get around, and then you could just get these super duper big monsters out and just terrorize your opponent. And it's just very non-interactive in a lot of ways. And I can't imagine if Objection was live right now with all the new cards in set 10 coming out that are based on energy levels and getting to certain energy, this card would be banned on this ban list if it wasn't already. So great card. I've never liked this card, so I'm not sure if that plays into it, but it is banned, and so that's why it's at number 2 as well.
Number 1.
Before we get to number 1, real quick, we're going to do some honorable mentions. Mostly these 3 leaders. It was Broly, there's also Blue Vegeta, and Ginyu. All of these leaders were very good. Broly and Vegeta were both very good for the first year of the game. A lot of people were playing them. Ginyu was just kind of good because after Mecha Frieza got banned, this was the default Frieza's army leader that a lot of people would use, and just had a lot of powerful, like Ginyu Veggies was such a powerful deck for like 3 months. So that's something as well. Vegeta was always like an aggro deck. Shout outs to Marcel Russell. And then Broly was like good for a little bit, but then Cell just blew the hand destruction game wide open, so he wasn't used as much. And lastly, Crusher Ball. This was like number 11 on this list, and I decided that Frieza's Call was probably a little bit better than it. And Cold Bloodless is just a better Crusher Ball in a lot of ways and everything. So, but this card's obviously very good and still has uses right now. So those are the honorable mentions. But if we get to the number 1 card, we've got Boom Bam Bad Ring Laser. Who saw this coming? This card is fantastic, especially right now. I can't imagine how good this would be in so many ways. Being able to counter a counter card for 1 energy and 1 card in your hand is insane, especially since we have like these 3 or 4 cost energy counters. You can just use Bad Ring to stop that from happening. And what really brought this over the edge was back before we had like a lot of like a rival or anything like that really interacted in the battle phase or combo step. You could just like win the game by just using Bad Ring and getting to the battles. Like right now, getting to the battle step is not as important as it was back then, but being able to just say, oh cool, I have this big beat monster, I can negate their negate with Bad Ring Laser, and they don't have an opportunity to play like another Whis Coercion or something. They only get 1 chance to stop an attack. So I think they decided like for 1 energy, and 1 yellow energy for sure was a little bit too lenient and a little bit too flexible. So they eventually banned this card, and I think this was the right choice. And being able to has really opened up a lot of other counterplay and counter cards that have more interaction than just saying no, you can't do this anymore. But yeah, very powerful card, and it's super funny because in a lot of ways, people would run Bad Ring Laser, and it would strictly be to Bad Ring Laser. Like this card could counter itself. It was also good against Cold Bloodlust as well. You could Bad Ring Laser Cold Bloodlust and make sure your card comes out with the effect that you need. Just great all over, especially in Mecha Frieza as well, because you could just play this card for free, and then you obviously had extra cards in your hand because Mecha Frieza had a hand size of just ridiculous all the time. But yeah, this card is fantastic. I think this should continue to stay banned, and no doubt the most powerful card in this set. So that's going to be it. Let me know what you guys think about this list, about this series. Once again, I think the top 5 is pretty cemented about top 5 cards, but the bottom 5 could be rearranged a little bit more. If there's a card I didn't talk about in the honorable mentions are the top 10, let me know which ones I missed out on. But yeah, this was a lot of fun, especially going back in memory lane, and I'm already looking forward to the Series 2 list for this. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.